Hi guys, Krabby Chaos Coordinator here. Would you like to see how I transform my laundry room from this to this? Then stay tuned while I break it down for you and hopefully inspire you to transform a space of your own. Let's get started. So we're gonna get started with my laundry room, which is right off of my kitchen. It's a main area in my house that everybody walks through. And there's two sections within this that we're going to tackle today. The first is over my washer and dryer. And while this section isn't horrible, there's definitely some room for improvement. There's things that we access frequently that just are too hard to get to, and there's some things that just don't belong in here either. So we're going to tackle this first. The second section we're tackling is actually this white cabinet behind me. This cabinet we've had forever. It's served us pretty well, but it's kind of chopped up, so you'll see what I mean. Inside, it's housing our cleaning towels, along with other miscellaneous cleaners and things, and I know there's a whole bunch of stuff in here that just doesn't belong, so we definitely need to clean this hot mess out. And I do have a goal of getting rid of this cabinet altogether. However, I don't know if that's going to be realistic. We'll have to see as we go. So now that I've shown you what we're working with, let's go ahead and get started. So one of the things I needed to do first was get all of my cleaning towels into one spot. This dresser that's right outside the laundry room is where we've been keeping some of them, but we didn't have enough room for everything because of the things in the bottom drawer. So the first thing I wanted to do was empty out this bottom drawer and see if I could get all the towels to fit. So while I'm pulling everything out, I did want to talk a little bit about some of the principles that I follow when I organize any space. I want to make sure that things that belong in the space are what's there and take out the things that don't. It sounds really logical, right? But a lot of times we end up with things that just don't belong in a space just over time. That's why it's good to do a refresh every now and then. It's also important to consider what you use most frequently. You want to have those things right at the ready at the front and easy to access. You don't want to bury them up on a high shelf or back at the back of a cabinet. And while you'll see me doing a huge whole room organization project, that doesn't always have to necessarily be the case. You can break it down into micro organization projects, which is what we're actually going to do in some of my upcoming videos. So stay tuned for those. Now that that's taken care of, let's move on to the fun stuff. These are some of the products that I'll be working with as we organize this space. The first product are these multi-purpose bins that I have featured many times on this channel. These are from Walmart and they are super inexpensive. I've used them in lots of different projects and you can't go wrong for something that costs under $10. I also wanted to invest in some nicer spray containers for some of the homemade cleaners that we use on a regular basis. So I picked a set of 3 up from Amazon. They are glass and they come with a silicone bottom, which I like so that it doesn't slide around when it's up on its shelf. I'm anxious to give these a try, and if I like them, I'll include a link for them in the description box. Now for some really fun stuff, at least to an organization geek like myself. I got some really great deals on these from Walmart. They're from the Home Edit line. I purchased them during Black Friday and these sets were half off. I've used some of the Home Edit line before and was really pleased with it, so I figured I'd give these a shot. So this first set came with these stackable bins and they actually have the cutout so you can easily reach into the bottom one. And they have handles on the side for easy pickup when they're on the shelf as well. And the fact that they're clear is exactly what I was going for. I wanted to be able to see what I have easily. And these ended up fitting perfectly on my shelf, as you'll see when we put everything back together. And it'll maximize the vertical and horizontal space in my laundry room. And can I take a moment to appreciate their slogan, Contain the Chaos? Perfect. And back to the unboxing, which I'll be honest, was kind of like Christmas all over again. So the second set has some different shapes and sizes. as well as some different pieces that aren't really containers, but organizational pieces. The first of which is a Lazy Susan. I'll show you how we use these, but I've used these in lots of different spaces. They're not just for kitchen tables anymore. And there's also some more modular stacking bins. There were also some narrower stacking bins as well, which are great to kind of fit in and fill in spaces in between. There also were some risers, which I'm not sure if I'm going to end up using for this, but if I don't use them in this project, I will definitely use them somewhere else. And yet more of those stackable clear bins. They also included a couple of smaller stacking bins that nest within these bigger bins. So not sure if I'm going to use those, but I'm sure I'll find a use. And I actually got 2 of this set since the price was so good, and I'm sure I'll have some containers left over for another project as well. So here's everything from that second set. Now on to the organization. Now the hard work begins. It starts by emptying everything out of the space that you're working with. Again, this is a full-scale reorganization project, but I will be talking more about micro-organization projects that help you break these down into smaller chunks in some future videos. The main thing to remember is, regardless of the size of space that you're dealing with, you want to make sure to empty everything out so you can really see what you're working with. For the white cabinet, I decided to just grab what I had handy, which was a laundry basket, and fill it up and empty everything out. It was honestly kind of shocking to see just how much, well, crap came out of here. We've been using this cabinet since we moved in the house over 7 years ago, and there's been quite a collection building over that time. It was definitely overdue for a makeover. It's actually pretty incredible just how much came out of that space. Take a look at all this spread out over my very large dining room table. That's why it's really important to make sure we go through everything, make sure we're not keeping things that don't belong or putting them in homes where they do belong, and getting rid of the things we just don't need to be keeping. So now that I've pulled everything out of that white cabinet, including the remaining cleaning towels, I decided that it made better use of the space if I were to take out these smaller towels and put them into a bin so that I could utilize the drawer for the bigger cleaning towels. Which brings up another point. I try to keep like with like as much as possible. In this case, I just didn't have enough space to do that. So I did the next best thing. All of the large towels are consolidated together and the other ones will be put somewhere else as I reorganize the space. Then it was time to go through all of the cleaning products that came out of the laundry room. These bottles are no longer going to be used. I'm actually going to transfer the ones that we're using the most into the glass containers that I showed earlier. And these plastic ones will actually go out into the garage so that my husband can use them or the kids can use them around outside or in the garage. And as I'm going through all these items, it's a perfect opportunity to reevaluate what we're using and what we aren't. There are several things that I found, like these little lint rollers, that I'm not using, but my daughter could use them in her car. She recently got one, so I made sure to give those to her to kind of help keep her car clean. Along with some other items that I found, like some small packages of cleaning wipes. I also took the opportunity to get rid of some duplicates. Apparently, we thought we needed to have multiples of things like the hydrogen peroxide and the alcohol that we used for cleaning. We don't need to have that many in the house. So we have a spot for them in our garage, so that's where they're going to go. So as you can see, this is a huge project. So I'm going to break this up into 2 videos. It's just a little bit too long to make it all into one. So I hope you stay tuned for the next video and see how we end this project with a much more organized space. Stay tuned and we'll see you guys in the next video. So welcome to part 2 of my laundry room overhaul. In part 1, we cleaned out the space, went through some things, got rid of some things we didn't need, and we were preparing to get everything put back together. So today is the fun part. We're going to start putting things in containers and putting it all back into the space. Here you'll see me putting some things into containers to see how they'll fit. Keep in mind, when you're going through this process, it is a process, so you're not gonna get everything right the first time. It's gonna be trial and error. So ultimately, I tried this. I didn't end up liking it. You'll see it ends up in a different spot in the final product, but that's okay. Again, it's a process. Another reminder is it's not about Pinterest pretty. It's more about functionality. How is it going to work best for you and the people that need to access these things on a regular basis? In the case of my family, they're all very grab and go. They don't want to have to open something to get to what they need. So I made these easy to access because these are something we use all the time, and I put them into a container with an open top that they can just grab what they need out of it. And here I'm dealing with the washcloths that we had earlier. I was trying to figure out a way to make these easy to access, but I had more than we needed. We use these for cleaning all the time. So again, easy access so that everybody can get into them and when they need them. So I found a bigger container that works great for light items. And again, this doesn't match some of the other containers, but it isn't about being Pinterest perfect. It's about functionality. The other thing I made sure to do was to separate the regular cleaning washcloth style towels from our microfiber towels. For one, my daughter has a real ick about the microfiber towels, and realistically, we only really have to use them for electronics. So it's definitely good to separate them. Now we're ready to put it all back together. Be patient while you work through this. This is also a process. It may not come out exactly the way you planned it, and it might take some trial and error. Probably will, in fact. So just be prepared to be patient and work through it, and you'll be so glad that you did. Here you'll see me working through some of my own trial and error as I was refitting all the containers back into the space. And you'll also see me on my step stool for short people because I am very short. Well, not really short, but compared to my 6'6" husband, I am absolutely short. And this actually brings me to a good point that I believe I brought up in my first video in this series. You want to make sure that you're putting items that you access frequently where they're easiest to access. It sounds common sense, right? But you don't want to have to get on a step stool to access things that you access all the time. So things that are on the top shelf here, you'll see extra office supplies for my kids' school. You'll see things that we have extras of, like those glass cleaners I showed earlier. Those are things we don't need to get at all the time. So they work perfectly on the top shelf. And here's the finished product. So much better. I now have a home for everything. Because my containers are clear, I can see exactly what I have. I have the Lazy Susan here that has all of our cleaning spray bottles on it so that we can access them really easily. And some of our most frequently accessed items are easily accessible. And while I wasn't able to eliminate the white cabinet, I did make it more organized, and it's so much easier to find what we need. And it also helps that we eliminated so much of the duplication that was cluttering up the space. So that's it. That is my freshly organized laundry room. I hope this provides some inspiration to you to tackle those projects that you've been putting off in your own home. I hope it gives you some fresh ideas and a fresh perspective on how to tackle some of those spaces in your home that you just don't want to, but you know it needs the help. So again, I'm going to be providing some more organization projects throughout the year. So stay tuned for those. Make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.